Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. The weather has been unsettled this week. Really hot and humid at the start, then we had thunderstorms and hail, and now it's back to being fairly still and calm and a reasonably nice temperature. So earlier in the week, I was getting out at dusk and watering my veggies, which was actually really nice. It's a really beautiful time of day to be outside. It feels really quiet and still and relaxing, and I could just grab the watering cans and just spend some time out watering the garden. By the end of the week, I didn't need to water. We had a huge downpour, so hopefully that rain will help to encourage the growth of the zucchinis and tomatoes, and I'll see some progress on the fruit fairly soon. We did have a hail, which came very suddenly. We had to quickly put the cars in undercover because we had them out because we've been moving cars and doing bits and pieces. And we also had to quickly bring Ridley in. So I went from being in shorts and t-shirt and feeling quite hot to being completely drenched, having been pelted by hailstones and needing a hot shower to get myself back feeling good. And at this time of year, we do generally get a little bit of that weather, and you kind of forget until it happens again, and then you go, oh yeah, that's right, because this time 3 years ago my old car got written off in a hailstorm. So it's exactly the kind of thing that happens around this time of year. A big part of the behind the scenes of my yarn dyeing business is choosing the undyed yarn bases that I use for my finished product. And I've always tried to source Australian or New Zealand yarn. I think that it's really important to be as local as possible while also choosing the kind of yarn that I like to work with at the same time. So my DK base is from New Zealand and my garden variety sock base is from New Zealand. My gumboot sock yarn is sourced here in Australia, as is my tendril 4-ply and lace yarn. But I've had an issue lately with my gumboot sock base. I've been getting it from the same supplier for a long time, and the last batch that I got just is not the same. They have changed ownership, so I'm thinking that they've changed mills or processing. There's something that is really different. And then I've also experienced a couple of little customer service issues. So I'm looking to change my sock base, my wool nylon workhorse yarn that I would prefer to knit socks in. Now here is what my gumboot sock used to look like. It's quite thin, a little bit shiny, and this is what is the most recent batch. As you can see, even just the size of the skeins when they're wound up are completely different, but they're supposed to be the same thing. So they're definitely not. When you knit this up, it does knit up to be about the same gauge as this, but it just doesn't look the same. It's not as smooth. It is, I don't know, I'm just not happy with it. So I've been looking for a replacement. And what I've found is another mill in Australia, and this is their version of a sock yarn, which is a 75-25. Merino and nylon, and what I have been using previously was an 80-20. So this was the 80-20 and this is the 75-25. Now that is much more comparable. Now the only way to actually compare is obviously to dye it up and then to make stuff with it and then use it and see how it feels. It feels quite the same. The benefit of this new base is that it is more yardage. It is 400 meters per 100 grams, whereas this one was only 374 meters for 100 grams. So that's probably the slight variation in size of the skein. So to try them out, I got just 4 skeins in this new base, just so that I could try it out, dye it up and see how it felt. So far, I'm liking the thickness and I'm liking how it's taken the colour. And now I am knitting with it. I've created 2 new colourways and I am knitting a sock in each colour side by side in this new base. So these colours are a year-end 2020 and a New Year 2021 colourway. The year-end 2020 colourway is called Hangover, and that's it here. And the story behind this is that throughout the year, for my planning, for my dyeing, I had little post-it notes and I had them up on the wall in the shed. And as I came up with colours, I would like draw the colour in, like with pencil, just to sort of see what the colours look like together, and then have the colours across the wall so that I could see that I was covering off the range of combinations and wasn't sort of sticking to one palette. And then when I wasn't here, the rest of the family would come in and move some of them around, make other little post-it notes, and they created a colour. And it was purple and orange, and they'd written Hangover underneath it. And I started out, I just laughed. I thought, oh, that's a bit silly. But I left it there. And as the year went on and I was thinking about this past year, the craziness and, you know, potential for what's happening in the future, I thought, actually, a hangover colourway to represent what we've all been through this 2020 is actually not a bad idea. So not just hangover from a big New Year's party or from day drinking throughout this year or whatever else might have happened, but just from this crazy emotional roller coaster of a year. So we're all going to feel a little bit hungover. And that's how it's knitting up so far. And then to think about new hope and brightness and lightness and moving forward and the possibilities of what 2021 may hold, without thinking that it's going to be all rainbows and unicorns, I came up with an idea for a colour called Fresh Start, which is a lot brighter, little pops of pink in there, and represents sort of cleaning away the slate and starting again. And hopefully we can. But not everything was bad in 2020. And I'll talk about that in a couple of weeks when I do my review of 2020, because for me, I think I actually had a pretty good year. So here are the 2 colours side by side, Hangover and Fresh Start. And I'm going to finish knitting these socks and then wear them with one of each, I think. So I am really pleased with how this base is working up. And given that I am most likely going to now order a bulk lot of this and start using this in replacement for my standard sock yarn. So as you saw from my business section, I have done quite a lot of knitting this week, but I would call that business knitting rather than just creative knitting. I did finish the pink and grey stripy socks and I delivered them during the week, so they are gone. I did knit on a secret Christmas project, which I can share with you after Christmas when it's been gifted. And I did a little bit more work on my pullover. I'm halfway through the 3rd and final motif for the yoke, and then it'll be splitting the sleeves and working on the body. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. and I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.